I think it's important to remind, and that's what I learned. I started reminding myself why I'm doing what I'm doing, and in the business for myself. Why did I even start this business for myself? Um, and part of it was I wanted to show my daughters that I can build a life around what I want, what my dreams are, or what my wishes are, not around what society puts on me or what somebody told me to do or things like that. And that's the reason I started my business. And that's the example I wanted to show my daughters. And I think that helped me to sort of, understand for myself and remind myself why I do what I do.
Welcome to Imperfect Momming. Our children are constantly looking to us for examples. The term role model doesn't quite cut it here. We are shaping their worldview with every move we make. You see, it's not in the lectures we give or moments where we're actively attempting to teach them. It's in the micro movements we make, the unconscious ways in which we navigate life. We are constantly teaching our children how to show up for themselves, their friends, their future partners, and even their future children. So what can we do to ensure we are raising thoughtful, compassionate, self-aware human beings? We have to become them ourselves. No one is perfect, but we can all still be better, and it starts with self-healing. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Imperfect Momming. I'm your host, Coach Alicia Lyons, and today we have a very special guest, Elle Ballard. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes, I am a mother, now a grandmother as well, and an entrepreneur. I have been leading my own community of Women of the World Network. It's called for women entrepreneurs, multinational women entrepreneurs. We have a lot of mothers as well in the community, and I'm also very passionate about women's energy and vitality. I'm a dancer, so I bring my dancing techniques and tools into that part of it as well. Great to be here with you.
Yeah, I was actually, the first question that popped into my mind was, are you finding that there's more mom entrepreneurs than you've maybe noticed in the past?
Interesting question. I think this started happening during pandemic, where I noticed more moms were leaving work or adding, and they were leaving work to be with their kids, right? And then as a result of that, a few of them started the side gigs, or that was what I noticed. And in addition to that, also, I think more and more people are starting side gigs overall, just to supplement their income, maybe having a plan to leave full-time jobs, um, to to have that flexibility.
I mean, with the instability of the job market,
Yeah.
AI taking over a lot of jobs,
Mm-hmm.
coupled with, I just bought a gallon of organic milk for $10. I can see why we have a lot of side gigs popping up.
Yes. Yes.
What do you think a big challenge that the women in your community are facing inside entrepreneurship?
Mm. I think there is, and I love talking about it in the inner freedom. There is a mindset challenges, right? That mental, and I think that comes from the overwhelm of everything that we have to do, or we think we have to do in our businesses. Um, if we add all the motherhood duties or mom duties that we have to do in addition to that, that's a whole new set of challenges. It's a different hat, but it is something that we have to do, right? My personal experience shows me that the challenge for me was in switching between those duties to make sure I don't bring the emotions, right, associated with one or another into one or another. So if I'm done with my business, making sure that I'm ready to be with my kids, um, to give my full presence, my full attention, without bringing whatever happened in the business earlier, right? Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, I know for myself that if I've been working a, a job, working for someone else where I clock in and clock out, I don't bring that work home with me. But when I'm working my business, it's like you're on 24/7 for your bit. There's
Right.
there's when you're working for someone else, there's a done, right? You can put your stuff on your desk however you want to leave your desk. I like to leave my desk like clean. But you can leave your desk and you go home and then the work is there. And then you're home and your kids are there. And so there's this physical separation. But when you're working from home and you're the business owner, there's always something that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I find, because my specialty is guilt, is mom guilt specifically.
Yes.
Entrepreneurial moms feel guilty when they're working, and then they feel guilty when they're not. Because
Mm-hmm.
of this, there's always something to do. And I just told my friend yesterday, I spent all day yesterday kind of catching up, air quotes,
Mm-hmm.
on some video scheduling for my podcast. And I said, in an ideal world, what I would like to do is record the podcast, create, put the intro and outro on it, schedule the post, schedule the episode, schedule the videos. And then now I'm done with this episode and I can move on. That's in an ideal world. That's not reality.
Right.
And my friend, responded back. She's like, yeah, I like how you said in an ideal world. I said, that's the intention that I would like to have after recording a podcast. I know that if I put that pressure on myself, that that's what has to happen, that there's going to be 50 pounds of brick on my shoulders when life gets in the way, and that doesn't happen.
Yes. Yes. I totally can relate. And to go back to that mother's guilt, it's just so real, and it's so and I remember I very heavily felt it when I was working a job. I learned through the experience of what that is for me, and how I can um reshift the focus or my thoughts about it, or but I remember it's so interesting how that happens, because just like you said, right, if we are going to work, and then I'm taking these hours, I'm working and I'm making money, and I'm working at that specific time for a company, but then I felt like I'm missing a time with my babies, or if I miss a lunch, like other people and I used to work far away, so I couldn't go to lunch. If my office was closed, maybe I could do that, but at the time I couldn't even do that, because I had a commute to do. um, I think it's important to remind, and that's what I learned. I started reminding myself why I'm doing what I'm doing, and in the business for myself, why did I even start this business for myself? um, And part of it was I wanted to show my daughters that I can build a life around what I want, what my dreams are, or what my wishes are, not around what society puts on me, or what somebody told me to do, or things like that. And that's the reason I started my business. And that's the example I wanted to show my daughters. And I think that helped me to sort of, understand for myself and remind myself why I do what I do. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's real.
I've been in business 14 years, so that's always been like a big thing is
Yeah.
that they talk about is like knowing your why. Why are you doing this? And I think that it's important to have a why of why you're doing your business, and as well as, your why as a mom, if you're a mom, if you're a mompreneur, like
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
word, that because if you don't have your why for your business, it can be frustrating. Like, business is not easy as much as they like to pretend that it is. It's not. I had one person say she didn't have any luck in the direct sales business that I've been in for 14 years. And I was like, and I didn't say this because that wasn't the point of our conversation, but my first thought was, what's luck have to do with it? It's
Yeah.
about work. This is a business. It's not, it's not a fun time, right? It's not
Hmm.
playtime. It can be fun, but it's not play, like,
Yeah.
and there's frustration in the business side, and then there's guilt in the mom side. So
Hmm.
if you hold on to your why of like what you said, what you're showing your daughters,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
there's this there's a balance. And
Yeah.
if you're a working mom and you have that mom guilt because you're not spending the 24/7 with your kids, I'll tell you that the moms that spend 24/7 with their kids are wishing they had a break. Sometimes, a lot of times, at some point in the journey, we wish we had a break.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with whether and how much you love your children. Like, it is, we
No.
need the break.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent enough time where my daughter was little, and I was grateful that I was able to actually dedicate and enjoy being a mother, for a couple of years before I entered the workforce. And I'm grateful that we were able to do that as a family, because we always be in a two income, household, right? Um, but I also realize, and I admire mothers who choose to be there for as long as the kids are needing, because I think to me, that's the hardest job, to be a mother. And the job that never ends, the job that it doesn't matter how old your kids are, we still care it up to whatever age they are. It's just changes the level, right? The involvement and everything, but we still are connected to them. And so that's a lifelong journey. And I admire mothers who choose to be, but I realize that for me and for my own um, development and personal growth as a mother, as a wife, as a woman, as a human being, I needed to go get it for myself, what my personal aspirations were. Because again, I wanted my kids to mimic that, whether that was a path for them if they choose. And I wanted them to understand that they can take their own path, whatever they choose, whether they choose to be full-time mom or part-time mom or have a full-time job. It is okay. And it's just a journey of understanding all of that and embracing who we are, because that's how I embrace myself. And when I embrace myself, I show an example for them to embrace themselves as well. So I think that was one of the big ones for mothers.
Yeah, and there's a part of me that feels like I would have loved being a mom, stay-at-home mom in the 50s, where like that's what I did. But I also know that even when I'm thinking about if that was a thing, I'd be like, yeah, and then I could have my business on the side. And it's like, no, I I don't think that my brain is wired or would be okay with just the kids and the
Yeah,
housework. Now, I also only have one kid, so it's not, and the housework doesn't take all day. So, you know, could I just sit and or cook and all that and not have anything outside of those things? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's a part of me that has like thinks of, romanticizes that time period too. But I think that who I am now would have been bored without my business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because it's such a um personal transformation. And we do transform as mothers, of course, being in the and I think mothers understand mothers. It's just such a unique experience, right? To be a mother. And yeah, but adding to that experience, the transformational experiences that we can add just to enrich ourselves is so important as well. Just to follow our wishes, right? And I love seeing more and more women stepping up into that space, that they can better themselves with whatever they want to do, whatever in their professional lives, whatever it is, having that flexibility, having those opportunities nowadays, I think it's wonderful.
So you mentioned in the beginning that you are a dancer, and so tell me about that with your community or with your clients.
Yeah, so after our community, I am so grateful we have achieved great results in the last 5 years, 6 soon years. We've been building it. We have published 4 multi-author books. We have over 45 women became best-selling authors on Amazon. We have our own podcast as well. After building this business, I have realized the important thing in continuing and just really being for myself for the this long-term journey of it. It is so important to maintain my own vitality, my own energy, and what that means for me. Um, the concept of free, fulfilled, and fabulous was born, and that is very close. And that was born as a result of me building a business and realizing that, again, going back to what we discussed at the beginning, wearing all these hats, and at the end of the day, not being burned out, right? Because that's not why I started my business. Um, and so the vitality, the usefulness, and that's where the dance comes from. I danced before back in college, so went back to dancing again about 4 years ago. Very happy, and now bringing that to women through the FFF program, Free Fulfilled Fabulous, where we talk about the preventative medicine, the preventative modern biohacks. I bring dance into it. We also talk about a lot of the inner freedom, which is some of the mental or mindset things that might be holding us back as women. And women health is such a different in its own, right? So it's just important to, because I think when we hear of health, a lot of the times it's very generic for men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So women health is completely different in its own with everything that we have. Uh, so that's what I do there as well. And along those lines, um, launching FFF within the community, Free for Fun and Fabulous Club, and then also doing retreats in that end as well. So we're going to Morocco in April, and yeah, very very excited about that because that was really in addition to what we've been already doing, but I feel like that was a missing piece for us to keep growing and to keep moving as business owners.
That sounds lovely.
Thank you.
Is there a piece of advice that you want to share with moms listening?
I think being easy on ourselves, and as I'm saying that, I'm reminding that to myself. To just really, if something didn't work out, the way we planned, or if we didn't reach our goals. Just taking a step back, breathing, and just letting it all in, and just going with the flow. Because I think it's important to understand that that is a journey, that is a path, and whenever we don't hit the goals, it's not because we're not good enough. It's not because we didn't plan for it properly. Uh, just really going into it with evaluating first what could have been done, uh, what actions we can take next time, maybe triple those, maybe double those actions, but also understanding that it's all about learning and sometimes unlearning, and it's a process.
I feel like that's been a theme kind of lately, that this, learning through failure
Yeah.
is so
Mhm.
important. That it doesn't, we take it personally. We make it
We
mean
do.
that it's
I,
something about us. And I'm speaking to myself now too. It's
yeah.
like I quit writing several years ago, for 12 years, because I had an unmet expectation. That I had this expectation. I thought that, and so then when I didn't meet that expectation, not knowing how much work would go behind that literally unrealistic expectation, then I made it mean all kinds of different things about me, and then I stopped writing. And it's, having the support to recognize too that this is what you're doing. I mean, had I had a coach at that time, which coaching wasn't really a big thing back then, but like, had I had that one-on-one support, I think that I would have had a totally different outcome.
Yeah.
Maybe someone would have given me realistic expectations, or a realistic plan on how to meet the unrealistic expectation. It would have been a totally different thing. And I was just hearing something this morning about, like, that we don't realize the effect that our issues are having on us
Mhm.
until we shine a light on the issue.
Yeah.
And if we thought about how this was affecting us, we might be making different decisions and taking different actions.
Yeah.
Getting it
Yeah.
a lot faster.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's where I think also a lot of the times we connect it so closely, the business result, to ourselves, and it's not. That is a big thing that I had to learn also, just separating me in my worthiness and who I am as a person, who I am as a mother, as a woman, and business results. And I think a lot of the times we in our heads we can connect all of that, um, and that can make it harder.
Yes.
um,
Yeah, when
yeah,
we take personalize something that's not personal. business
it's not about us.
business doesn't care. It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't have it business is business.
Yeah,
And that's something to continuously remind ourselves of, for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Is there a book that's been instrumental in your personal development journey?
There's so many. Ah, uh, the most recent, I just started Let Them. I started listening to that book
Hmm.
about romance. That's the most recent one. We're also reading that in our community right now. And then, yeah, there's so many good books. I think it's called Untamed. That was another good one.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I have a few.
Yeah,
Definitely.
books are definitely a big thing along the personal development journey.
Mm-hmm.
Where can our listeners find you?
Com. Everything is there, and then the link to the Women of the World Network. They can go there as well from there, or womenoftheworldnetwork.com. Thank you so much for having me, Alicia.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here and for helping women, because we need to band together and
Yes,
help change the world. So I appreciate the
yes.
part that you're playing in that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So there will be another episode of Imperfect Momming for you all coming next week. And until we meet again, keep healing. Bye, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Imperfect Momming. It's time for us to step up and realize that our power is not in trying to shape our children. Our power lies in shaping ourselves into the people we want our children to model themselves after. Don't just do it for your kids. Do it for yourself. When you become a more self-aware, compassionate, and confident person, you and everyone around you benefit. For more information about me and my work, visit alicialyons.com. That's ALYSIALYONS.com. And until we meet again, keep healing.